I know math is not the Conservative Party of Canada's forte.
And the budget will balance itself.
So,
Polyev, that when it comes to your pensions, Polyev's going to cut your pensions. And I just spoke with some retirees. They're living on a fixed income, and it is tough. And if their pensions were cut even further, imagine how hard it would be for them. It would be unimaginable. And people need to know that. They need to know the price of Pierre, the price of Polyev. And I want to put to them the hope that we bring. New Democrats have shown that we can tackle the big problems. We brought in things like dental care and pharmacare. We brought in these big things. We can solve the challenges we're up against. We're not going to solve it with cheap slogans. We're not going to solve these things by simplifying things that are very complex. We're going to speak honestly to voters and honestly to workers about the fact that we can solve these problems. People have told me that they're worried about Pierre. And I want folks to know that I see why you're worried. He's going to hurt people. He's going to cut the things you need. He's going to attack workers. But we can solve the problems we have. We know that things are costly because of corporate greed. So let's put in better protections for consumers. We know our cell phone fees are high. Our internet fees are high. Well, let's use the federal powers we have to regulate that and bring down the prices. There are solutions to building homes that are affordable. We can do that. But it's not going to come from the costly conservatives because the price of Pierre is too much.
Our next question comes from the CBC in Thunder Bay. Michelle Allen has submitted her question in writing. She asks, how will you make dental care and pharmacare more accessible in remote First Nations?
I appreciate the question. It was something that was on our mind when we were pushing for dental care and pharmacare in the first place. For dental care, we push for a fund that is available to ensure that there's more access to programs in more northern and remote areas. So we're going to continue to monitor that that fund works and find other ways to support more access in the north and in rural communities. When it comes to pharmacare, it is actually a very important tool to providing preventative care. The cost of people not being able to take medication means they end up in an emergency room. But those costs are even higher for people that live in remote areas that have to travel by air to get to a hospital. So providing access to free medication and making sure that the medication is accessible in northern and remote areas will help ensure that people can stay safe, stay healthier, and prevent them from having to go through the extremes of getting on a plane to go hundreds of kilometers away, in some cases thousands of kilometers away, to get the care they need.
I know math is not the Conservative Party of Canada's forte.
And the budget will balance itself.
Yes, Michelle has a follow-up here. She writes, how will you make it easier for First Nations people who have to travel elsewhere
when it comes to pharmacare, it is actually a very important
What will you do
tool
to make the
providing
process more
preventative
affordable and efficient?
The cost of people not being able to take
anytime
medication
we have
means they end up in emergency rooms. We want to hear from the Indigenous communities around what the best solutions are. I think often there's an assumption that Ottawa knows best, and more so, Indigenous communities know the best way to respond to those challenges. A lot of those costs are even higher for people that live in remote areas, fall through on commitments already made in treaty air to get to a hospital. So providing access making sure free medication, but really working with Indigenous is accessible in northern and
how
remote
many
areas.
scandals do you think Trudeau has
ensure
had? I have
that
another
people can
video
stay
over
safe,
here
stay
showing how
healthier,
many, and it is a
prevent
lot.
them from having
And
to
I
go
think
through the
shame needs
extremes
to
of
be brought
getting
back
on a
into
plane
Canada
to go
because he
hundreds
has
of
no
kilometers away,
shame
in some cases
anymore,
thousands
and I
of
think it
kilometers
just
away
trickles
to get the
down
care
to
they need.
everyone underneath him. And that's what's really frustrating about Trudeau. And as far as an election is concerned, obviously there should have been one a year ago.
Yes,
but do you
Michelle
think it'll
has
really
a
be in
follow-up
October
here. She
2025? Because
how
his
will you make
steam,
it
like all he has
easier
to do
for
is
First Nations
smile,
people who have to
and for the
travel
camera,
elsewhere
go
for
on his
care
vacations.
to access
There's going to be a new
supports?
love in
What
his
will you
life
do
coming
to
up,
make the process
probably
more
because he's
affordable
so
and efficient?
he has to because he needs to take attention away from himself.
Anytime
Anyway,
we have
let me know in the
matters that
comments what
impact
you think.
Indigenous
Let's go back to
communities,
the
we
video.
want to hear from the Indigenous communities around what the best solutions are. I think often there's an assumption that Ottawa knows best, and more so, Indigenous communities know the best way to respond to those challenges. A lot of it is providing the adequate funding, making sure we follow through on commitments already made in treaty to Indigenous communities. So following through those commitments, making sure the investments are there, but really working with Indigenous communities to solve the problems and having their solutions lead instead of having Ottawa lead when those communities might have better solutions. And we should be working in collaboration with Indigenous communities with these type of challenges anytime we're up against them.
We don't have any more questions at this time on the Zoom, so this will conclude our press conference.
Thanks so much. Appreciate everyone that was.
And is Chrystia Freeland doing a good job? She is the finance minister and the vice president of Canada. And she is the one that just looks like her head is just spinning when she talks. It's always like trying to drag it on, never answer a question. And maybe they should have this I thought they would always do this. When they ask a question, say, do you mind after you finish it, if you give me 5 seconds to say if you answered it or not for our listeners, because it is so frustrating. Everything is an infomercial with both of them. And that's something that I think needs to be stopped. Maybe the whole Constitution and the human rights and everything needs to be rewritten again after those two are gone, because this is just frustrating what they're doing. Anyway, let's go back to the video.